You don't need to learn all of Google Calendar. Many parts you'll never touch. For the most people, there are 5 things that matter. That's creating events, inviting people, repeated meetings, sharing your calendar, and a booking page that ends the "what time suits you best" emails. I'll show you all 5 in the next 8 minutes or so, and by the end, you'll be running your week from Google Calendar. So you want to get into your Google Calendar and load it up. How do you do that? Go to calendar.google.com in any web browser. If you're not signed in, you'll see a page like this. Just click sign in. Once you're signed in, you'll see your Google Calendar. If you're already signed into your Google account, but say you're in Gmail or Google Drive, how do you access your calendar? Click on this icon in the top right hand corner, click Calendar, and your Google Calendar will open like this in a new tab for you to use. So you've got your calendar open. What do you want to do next? Well, creating an event is usually what calendars are all about. So how do you do that? 2 options. You can click the create button in the top left hand corner and click event, or, which is my preferred method, you just click on the calendar and just drag the time scale that you want, let go, this window pops up, and you can just put your calendar event in there. So let's just call it the test event. Got a couple of options almost immediately. Event is the default. That's what you normally use, an event, and you'd invite people into it, and it's just a normal practice. You'll use an event. You've got options though to have it as a task. If you do it as a task, you'll see there's one up here, and it will just put it listed as a task with a tick. So whatever date and time you select, that's where the task will be booked. And once you've completed it, you can actually tick it off and it will disappear. Out of office, you're going away for a while, you just use the out of office option. That will notify anyone who sends you an invite that you're not about. Focus time. This is really cool. So if you want to book a block of time in your calendar where you can focus on a project, select focus time. What focus time does, it automatically turns on do not disturb, so you won't get any notifications in chat. It'll also notify people that you have got focus time at this moment in time, so it might not be the best time to send a message. And you can also have it selected so it automatically declines any meetings that anyone sends you, any meeting requests or invites they send you during your focus time. Working location is just if you're going to be working from a specific location during that time period. Maybe you're at the office, maybe you're working from home and you want people to know. That's all working location is. And then appointment scheduling is what booking pages are, and I'm going to show you them in a bit at the end of the video. So here we go. We've created our first event. What do we want to do next? You probably want to invite people. So going back to the event section, you've got add guests. All you have to do is type in their email address, click on it, and if they're part of the same Google Workspace as you, you'll actually get an overlay of their calendar appear, so you can see if they're available or not. You can see in this calendar that actually that's not a great time because the other person is busy at 11 a.m. So I might want to schedule it and drag the event down to here where everyone's free. And that is great. It's really handy. It only shows it. This overlay only works if they're in the same Google Workspace as you. If this is someone external, you're not going to see this overlay, and that's where the booking pages come in. Once you've done that, you've got a couple of options here. Under guest permissions, do you want your guests to be able to modify the event? Put a tick in if you do. Do you want them to be able to invite other people? Put a tick in if you do. Do you want them to be able to see the guest list? By default, say guest list is turned on. If you don't want them to see it, just do a tick to turn it off. And then you can actually set your defaults when you've done that, so it'll remember it for next time. If it's a video call that you're going to have with somebody, click the Add Google Meet Video Call. That link goes in there straight away, and that'll be part of the invite when we send it off. Next option you've got is if it's like in an office that you have and you've got specific rooms that you can book, click on the rooms button and you can book one of those rooms. Otherwise, add a location. So if you're meeting somebody at a cafe somewhere, just hit the location, type in the location. It uses Google Maps, so it will auto fill the address in, and they'll also receive that on their invite. And then finally, you've got the option to add a description or a link to a file in Google Drive, so everybody comes to that meeting prepared with the description of what the meeting's about and any related files. Once you're happy with all that, all you have to do is hit save. It'll pop up this message saying, are you sure? Is everything correct? Do you want to send invitation emails to everybody? You do, otherwise they're not going to come. So hit the send button. That's gone. So they've all received an invite to the test event. If you want to see if they've booked in or not, you will get, when they say yes or no, you will get an email come through to Gmail telling you if they've said yes or no. But you can also click on the event and it will just put a tick next to them or a cross depending on what they've selected. You might want to edit the event as well afterwards. So if you do want to edit event, just click on any event in your calendar, click on the edit button, and then you can change whatever you want, such as the time, the date, if it repeats, if it doesn't repeat, all that kind of stuff you can do. And once you're happy, you just hit the save button. If you made any changes, it will tell you you've made changes. Do you want to notify the people you've invited? And you can decide to notify them or not. So that's how you've created your first event in Google Calendar. Another thing that people like to do in their Google Calendar is share it with other people. Very easy to share your Google Calendar. So under My Calendars, these are the calendars that you own. You may have created a new calendar. So you'll have your primary calendar at the top, and you may have created additional calendars that you also manage. And you can share any of these with anybody. So all you've got to do is hover over the calendar you want to share, click on the three dots, and click Settings and Sharing. You'll go straight to the settings and sharing section in your settings for Google Calendar. And in here, you just add people or groups. So enter their email address into this box. Once you've entered their email address, you can then pick the access level they have. So by default, it'll be see all event details, but you might not want them to see the names of the events and actually the details of the events. And if that's you, all you've got to do is hit see only free and busy. So when they have your calendar and they can view your calendar, they won't see the names of the events and what the event is actually about. They'll just see the words free or busy if you're available or not available. The other options are if you've got a PA or you've got somebody in your team that you want to be able to manage your calendar as well. So this one is where they can make changes to your calendar, and then you can pick the level of access they can on the actual event details, so they can see the event details. To be honest, it's very hard for someone to make changes on a calendar when they can't see the event details, because they don't know which ones that they need to be changing or making alterations to. So if you're going to use this option, you're probably going to need to let them be able to see the details of the events that are taking place in your calendar. And then the final one is make changes and managing sharing, which is essentially full access. You might want to give this to somebody if you've got a PA or something along those lines. So somebody who's got the ability to manage sharing, they can go into this setting here and they can add and remove people to see your calendar. You have to have a bit of trust there, because you don't want them just adding anyone to your calendar. So if you have got a full PA and you trust them, then yes, you can give them that setting so they can add and manage the sharing of your calendar, who can and who can't see your calendar. So as I said at the start of this video, I'm going to show you how to create appointment scheduling, which is the killer feature in Google Calendar. People love this. It's so easy. It stops the email back and forth. Are you available at this day, that time, whatever. All you got to do to set this up is go to booking pages on the left hand side and click the plus icon. This is my preferred method of doing it. You can do it this way, but that's a bit more tricky. Just click on the plus icon. It's just easy. This side panel then opens. All you got to do now is just give your appointment scheduling a name. So let's call it video call with James in this case, because it's me. Actually, we'll go with Lauren because that's the name of the training account I'm on, and it'll just make more sense later on. Then you've got to pick the duration of whatever this thing is that you're creating. So do you want a 1 hour video call? Just pick whatever you want. And this is the time schedule that the event will last for when someone's booked it in. So I'm going to go with 30 minutes. As you can see on my calendar straight away, all my free time during my working hours, it's gone and given people options to book video calls. Might not want that, might want to change that slightly, and this is where you do it. So you can select if it's a repeating thing or doesn't repeat, or if you've got a custom thing, maybe it's every 2 weeks it repeats. But just select the times that you'll want to be available for. Say you don't work on Tuesday, just click unavailable Tuesday, and there you go. It's just removed it straight away from the appointment schedule. Maybe on Thursdays you work at a slightly lesser time during the day. So there we go. That's just changed it from 9 to 1 p.m. You can add Saturdays and Sundays if you want to by hitting the plus icon, and then you can check your time zone. That's my time zone, so that's correct. So that's, at the moment, that is my appointment schedule that people are going to see, and that every little blue oblong you see here, they can click on that and book a time with me to have a video call. But we probably want to control that a bit more, because that's a hell of a lot going on in 1 week. Just imagine if everyone booked all those in, you just have no time for anything else. So here's the scheduling window, and this helps. So there's a couple of options that help, and there's another one a bit further down that's going to help as well. So at the moment, this is available now. So this is just ongoing, running all the time. People who've got the link can just book whenever. But I can do start and end date. So if it's only for a specific time period that you want people to be able to book you and book a video call, you can put a start and end date. So at the moment it's now and it never ends, but you can actually put a time window that this appointment scheduling scheme runs for. And then when it hits the end, it no longer will accept any more bookings. I'm going to keep it on now and never, because I want people to always have an option to have a video call with me. And I want to be able to easily link to that and just send it out to people. Next option you've got is how far in the future do you want people to be able to book? It's by default, it's 60 days. Maybe you want 30 days. Just change it to whatever you want. And that's how far in the future people can book a meeting with you through this appointment scheduling in the future. And then you've got the minimum time before they can book. So at the moment it's 4 hours. So after they can't book anything that's going to start within 4 hours. You might want to change that to 24 hours. So they can't book anything. They have to book it before a day in advance when it's on 24 hours. So just pick a time that works for you there. Next, you've got adjusted availability. So let me just minimize that window a second. Adjusted availability is simply holidays, things like that, where you don't want the date to be available. So you could go to like December the 25th, select on that, and just say you're not available on December the 25th. And that will automatically, as you can see here, it's removed the ability for anyone to book with me on December the 25th. If we go down to booking appointment settings, this is very handy because this is where it helps you control how many events people can book per day, and if you want to have a buffer between them. So for example, on here, maybe I want a buffer time of 30 minutes before an appointment. At the moment, someone can just book them back to back all throughout the day. So if I add a buffer time, that gives me 30 minutes between each appointment. So if you want to have a bit of a break between each appointment, that's what buffer time's there for you. And then you've got another option of maximum bookings per day. So you can set this to whatever number you want, but once 4 bookings have taken place in the day, it won't let anyone select any other bookings for that day. So you just pick a number there that works for you. Guest permissions, this is kind of handy to turn on, especially if you're maybe sending this out to a lead or somebody, and they might want to invite other people into the meeting that you don't know their email addresses for. Just click on guests can invite other people. That means that they, as it says there, they can invite other people into the meeting, which is pretty handy. The next is calendars. What calendars does, it checks your calendar by default, so it won't give you an event. It won't put a time slot where you've got something already booked in. So you can see on Friday, we've got this event here already booked in. So there's been no time slot available on that day. And it will do this by checking your calendar, but you can also add other calendars. So maybe you've got a company calendar and that has events that are taking place in the company. And during those time periods, it will not add an option for someone to book an appointment during that time slot. Next thing is co-hosts. So if you want other people involved in these meetings that people book, you add the co-host's email address. This has to be somebody who's inside your Google Workspace organization with you, so a team member, and it will also check their calendar. So for example, if it is like a leads booking form where people who are potential future clients and you need to go through a process with them and have a video call with them, you might want to add the people who are also involved in that sale into this so that the lead can only book appointments when everyone is available. Once you're happy with all that, you click the next button, and this is where you can do a bit more customization. So your booking page and photo name will always be your name from your account and your photo. If you want to change that, you can do that through your account settings. It doesn't really make much sense to change it because it's nice. People want to know who you are and they probably want to see your photo just so they know they confirm they've got the right appointment slots and schedules set up. Then you've got location. This is really important in conferencing. So this is how the appointment scheduling in this case works. Because this is a video call. I want to put a Google Meet video call link in with everything that gets booked. But if you have maybe an appointment schedule for a meeting in person with people, you can specify a specific location. Likewise, with a phone call, you can add a phone number that people need to call when that comes available, or you can have none and you specify this later. That means you have to manually tell them how you're going to how this event is going to be run. But for this case, it's a video call one. I'm just going to hit create a Google Meet video conferencing link. So whenever someone books that, automatically the invite will include the video call meet. You can then also add a description of what this is about, so everyone sees a bit of a description on their booking page. And then you've got the booking form itself, what information you want to get from them. So by default, it will click it will ask them for their first name, their surname, and email address, but you can also add your own personal item as well. So phone number or a custom item. And then you just say what bit of information you want them to give. I kind of like having a question here saying, is there anything I need to know about this meeting before we start, so I can be prepared? And then the person can actually say, oh, well, actually, I want to talk about so-and-so. And then you've got that bit of information in there. I normally make that as a required question as well. Then you click add item, and that will appear on the booking form when they book. And here's a cool thing. You can actually take payments. So this is linked to Stripe. It depends if your admin in Google Workspace has enabled this or not. But if they have, you can actually go and take a payment from Stripe. So if you want to use this as maybe you own like a yoga business and you want this to be the form people fill in to book a yoga lesson with you at a physical location, and you want to take payments through the form, you can do so. So that's really, really handy. And then you've got the booking confirmations and reminders. So let me just minimize that a second. And booking confirmation reminders. So it will automatically put it into your calendar, but you can also have an email reminder sent to the person 1 day before, 5 minutes before, 10 minutes before, and you can actually add more than one reminder. So maybe you want to have it 1 day before and then 10 minutes before, just so that they don't ghost you. So they actually appear and they don't disappear or vanish on you. So once you've got that all set up, just hit the save button. And that's it. Your appointment scheduling is set up. As you can see, it's outlined on your calendar here. And if you ever need to share the link with somebody, all you got to do is click on this bar here, get copy link. And if I paste it into my browser here, you'll actually see what they see. They normally won't see that error though. Maybe it's because I've just set it up. So let's try it one more time. There we go. Give it a second and there it goes. So if you send the link to somebody, this is what they'll see. They'll pick a time, they'll enter their details and they'll click the book button. You'll get an email notification that they booked it. They'll get an email invite come through, and that's all done. And it's a really fantastic way of getting appointments booked without having to do the email back and forth. It's the killer feature in Google Calendar that so many people don't know about. And it means you can ditch other services like Calendly because you've got that feature there. So that's Google Calendar. 5 things and you know them all now. If your business is on Google Workspace and you want it set up properly, calendars shared and with the right permissions, booking pages for the people who need them, that's what we do at Kimbley IT. There's a link below to book a free video call with me. Bring your questions and I'll bring the answers. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe button and like button. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.